and to bring you your fix of everything related to the Montreal Canadiens. Two men who could seriously use an intervention. Your source of Habs talk, right from the rock. Right from the rock.
Hello, Canada, hockey fans, United States, and Newfoundland.
Hockey Junkie and GK.
Okay, guys, welcome to Season 2, Episode number 8 of the Fix Podcast. My name is Matt, also known as Hockey Junkie, and joining me today is my co-host, Gary. And man, what a crazy couple of weeks it's been, eh?
It's been a roller coaster, man. Moves and counter moves and...
Yeah, the Sean Monahan trade. Never ending, man. Being a Habs fan is like being a big bipolar bear. You're just full of ups and downs. Full of it.
Bipolar.
But, Super Bowl weekend, there's been a lot of stuff going on, even though I didn't watch it. Did you watch it?
I did watch it, yeah. I don't really watch a lot of football, but I do like to watch the Super Bowl. I always find it entertaining. It's just, you can only there's only so many hours in the day to be watching sports, and I'm dedicated to my Montreal Canadiens, so hard to commit to anything else. It was good, though. Went to overtime, single play. A little bit anticlimactic, but yeah, it worked out all right. You think like a one-play touchdown to finish it off, everything would have just kind of blown up. And I guess it kind of did, but it seemed like it was kind of a delay for it. I don't know. It was a bit odd. And then, like, they give the trophy to the owner first. You ever watch the Super Bowl, like, presentations? It's weird.
No.
It's like...
Really? They give it to the owner?
The owner first. He gets on. He has a big spiel. And it's kind of like, who cares? Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't be able to tell you what 99 of the owners in the league look like in the NHL. No. But this guy's up and he's talking. And then they give it to the coach. And I guess coaching is important in football. Yeah, I mean, obviously it is important in football. But still, like, and then, like, lastly, it's like, oh, yeah, and the players. Like, here you go.
Yeah, I guess you guys could celebrate, too.
You did something, I guess. I don't know. It's just...
Man, I can't watch it. Like, I've never watched football. Like, I'll sit down and watch Peppa Pig, before I'd watch football.
No, I'm going to say I do enjoy it. Like, me and my buddies used to play Madden back in the day, so that's where I learned the rules.
Oh, yeah, I got to learn somehow, right?
Yeah. And then, like... But it's pretty good, man. I find like Super Bowl, it's kind of, and it's one and done, so it's, one mistake, one play, and so it's entertaining like that. But no, I wouldn't follow it all year long.
Listen, at least you were entertained watching it yesterday.
I was entertained.
That Habs game was not entertaining.
Oh my God, no, absolutely not. I needed a little bit of entertainment after that. It's just,
oh man,
it started out as not horribly unentertaining. But then the wheels just fell off altogether, man.
Yeah, man. And like, what positives do you even take away from a game like that? There's not many.
The only thing you look at is that Suzuki, Slafkovsky, Caulfield look good. I mean, they did look really good. Still.
They did.
Even in it bad. And like, I thought Newhook doesn't look like he's got a lot of rust on him. The power play still looked, they didn't produce there, but they had some excellent possession time. They moved the puck around well. Newhook looked comfortable in the bumper. He's after having a pile of really high quality scoring chances that are going to start to go if he continues to get them. I mean, then you have lots of negative. I mean, that's the end of the positive, and then after that, it's just all negative. Goaltending
big old
looked bad.
pile of it.
Allen decreased his value, if that's possible. They gave up 7 goals. 2 defensemen got hurt. Forward got hurt. A partridge in a pear tree, and just couldn't end. Just couldn't end fast enough, man.
The Canadiens are built like a Ritz cracker, man. Built like a Ritz cracker. Every hit, everybody's going down. But you know what, though? I felt really bad for Jordan Harris, man.
Me too.
I've been giving Jordan Harris a lot of flack, and not even because it's deserved. It's just because I can't even explain it. Like, I just see him as the odd man out, but still, like, watching a guy go down and get obviously concussed like that is it's not fun to watch, right? So hopefully he gets well soon. Nobody likes seeing that.
Yeah, I mean, you don't. Jordan Harris, like I said, he is, to some anyways, he's the odd man out there, and I think we've, on here been treating him that way for a period of time. But it's because he still has value. Like, I still think Jordan Harris is a good hockey player who could get you a return on the trade market. He's got good attributes. He's young. He moves the puck well. He skates well. It's just, compared to the other defensemen that we have there, he doesn't bring anything unique. And so he's probably the one you feel the least worst about dealing. You know what I mean? So it's not against him. If anything, it's it's because you can see what our teams might appreciate in his game. But I remember when he got hurt, I was thinking like, geez, that's brutal, and it looked awful, and like obviously you don't want to see anyone get hurt. But we talked about that last year with the big backlog on defense. Like, it's bad for a couple weeks when everyone's healthy, but people just don't stay healthy, especially in Montreal. And then, you have an injury and these problems, these backlogs, they end up solving themselves. And now we're going back the other way because Gooley went down injured as well.
Another injury.
Oh,
and I got to say, though, this might be somewhat controversial amongst Habs fans because, I mean, every time somebody gets hurt or gets hit, like, when it's your guy, like, you're all over the other team. But I don't think there was any bad intentions from Sammy Blais on that play. Like, he picked up a 5-minute major, but Harris was already falling, in my opinion. And it looked like Sammy Blais was already committed to the hit as he was going down. So it was just unfortunate. But that's the way I seen it. I don't know how you feel about it. Do you think that Blais attempted to murder him into the boards?
Honestly, I saw it like live action when it happened, but I didn't see any replays, and I didn't go back and look at it afterwards. But I mean, people can get hurt and someone not do something wrong. Like, those two things aren't mutually exclusive, you know what I mean? Like, you can lay a clean hit on someone, or it can just be an accident, and people can get hurt as well. Now, Blais can play on the edge sometimes as well, so I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at it. But if I'm going to trust anyone's judgment, Junkie, as I've said before, I trust yours.
You poor soul.
In hockey, anyway. Just to clarify.
Strictly hockey.
Strictly hockey, yeah, absolutely.
Right? And after the game, too, they were saying that Harris is day-to-day, but I don't know, man.
Yeah, I don't know.
The look on his face did not say day-to-day to me.
Absolutely. I don't know if Harris has had any concussion issues in the past.
I can't remember.
I don't think so. There's nothing on my radar, but who knows? I mean, these kids are playing for a long time before they kind of get in the spotlight, too. You ever had a concussion?
No, have you?
Yeah. I got, I was like...
Oh, this is going to be a good story.
It's not as entertaining or as cool as it could be. I was coming up from the playground at school.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And you ever do that thing, like, when you're really stupid and you put your arms inside your jacket, and your parents are like, don't do that, you could fall and hit your head?
Man, I'm doing that right now.
I'm the reason they tell you that, right? So I'm coming back, and for at least, I don't know, 5 years, I thought that I just fell. So I fell, hit my head on a rock. My friends didn't want me to get in trouble or them to get in trouble, so they picked me up, even though I wasn't really making any sense. Brought me to my chair, which is in the back of the class, and just sat me in my chair. Didn't know I was in the world. Halfway through, like English class, 40 minutes later, I finally kind of come to my senses. Don't know where I am, how I got there. Can't remember falling down. Can't remember a thing. Lose my shit in the back of the classroom. And anyways, long story short, I had a concussion. So like 5 years later, one of my buddies was like, "You remember that day you fell and hit your head in the playground?" He was like, I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yeah, I pushed you." I was like, "What?" He's like, "We didn't tell you that part."
Holy shit. That's crazy, man.
Yeah, so it was good. Good good buddies. Friends like that who needs enemies.
Oh, yeah. Who needs enemies when you got good buddies like that, right?
But it was freaky, man. Like, couldn't remember getting up, couldn't remember going to my classroom, couldn't remember being in class. It was freaky. Yeah. I coached an under 16 soccer team too, and had a kid take a ball in the back of the head at provincials or at nationals up in Halifax or Montreal. Might have been Montreal actually. And he lost like a whole week's worth of memory. Couldn't remember, like, this is day 3 in Montreal. He couldn't remember flying up there. He actually scored the game winner after that. Like, took the shot, got up, scored the game winner, and then didn't remember any of it. Couldn't remember flying to Montreal. Couldn't remember being in Montreal. It was scary, man. It can be a lot. It's a lot to take on. I
feel like 4 years from now, Arbor Jack is going to be like, "Hey, Jordan Harris, remember that time I sat out a game for you to play and you got a concussion from getting hit?" He's like, "Yeah. I actually punched you in the face."
Suck on that. Anyways, so yeah, I hope Jordan Harris bounces back quickly, man, because it's a scary injury. I think with your brain is scary.
It is, man. It's terrible. So he's injured. Caden Gooley's injured as well. Obviously, Jack Hoy's back into the lineup now. Do you call anyone up? Like, is there anyone on your radar that you think that maybe the Canadiens should call up as an extra defenseman kind of deal?
I don't know, man.
Where's Chris Weidman?
Chris Weidman's back is, I think, I don't know where it is. I don't know, man. Like, Laval's kind of cruising along. I think Logan Moyu is on everyone's kind of radar, but I don't think they're going to make that move. I think they're happy with the way he's developing, how he's looking down there. And Laval is still kind of in the middle of a playoff push, so I don't think they'll pull the trigger on that. Matthias Norlander hasn't really earned a call-up, but maybe you give him a little look and see if that confidence boost gets him going again, because he did look good in preseason. He looked good when he was up, but really hasn't looked good since. You watch more Laval games than I do. What's your thoughts on it?
I'm assuming that they're going to call back up Justin Barron.
Yeah, okay.
That's going to be the guy I'm saying that they're going to call. But aside from him, Mayu is the guy that obviously, I feel like he's earned it, but like you said, man, it's tough dragging him away from Laval right now. Like, most of their success is off the back of Logan Mayu. Like, he's been unreal down there, so yeah, I just don't know how you call him up, right?
It's hard to find that balance, isn't it, with the AHL and the NHL? Like I said, no doubt he's earned it. I think, he's playing well. He seems like he's being coachable. He's changing some of the things he made. I don't know about, you see the highlights, and I do watch some of the games, but, not a lot of stories written about how his defensive game has been changing, or if it has been changing. And obviously that's one of the things they want him to work on. But it's hard to look at that roster and look at the stat lines and say that anyone deserves to be called up more than he does. But
yeah,
for the future of the organization and for Laval to do well, and I think that's important, like for some of these young guys, because there are a pile of young prospects still down in Laval. For them to get that success and to have that experience, I think that's important too. And what's the value of him playing up in the NHL and maybe sit in a scattered game? And the team is not playing well right now. We're getting, maybe we're hanging around a couple of games, but like the last game there against St. Louis you don't want a kid exposed to that if you can avoid it. So, yeah, I forgot that Justin Barron was down in Laval. He'll definitely be the next guy up. There's no question now that you bring it up.
No, and aside from call-ups, another thing that I wanted to talk about from that game yesterday, man, Jake Allen, like, he got lit up yesterday,
yes,
man. Like, it was bad. And, he didn't get much help from his defenseman. I got to say, I felt like everybody contributed to just a shit effort in the Canadian zone. No offense to Jaden Struble, because he's been unreal this season, but easily, yesterday was his worst game of the season. Easily.
100%. Yeah, it was. And that's going to happen. The fact that it only happens, once every 15 games for this kid is impressive.
Oh, it's crazy.
The pros are having, the guy's been in the league for 20 years. They still have those nights. So, he gets a get out of jail free card. These injuries are going to give a guy like Jaden Struble, a guy like Arbor Jack guy. And again, we don't want to see anyone getting injured, but it takes a little bit of pressure off. And I think so, like, especially for Jack Eye, having that little bit of pressure taken off, even if it's only for a week or so, hopefully, or, a couple of games, that can make a difference. Because I feel like Jack Eye especially is the guy who's got the shortest leash on the NHL, on the Montreal blue line right now. And he doesn't get some of the allowances that some of the other guys get. Like, he's taking penalties. He's feeling the need to apologize for it. He's making mistakes. I think he's clutching his stick a little bit harder than some of these other guys are. So these injuries, while unfortunate, if they do take a little bit of pressure off a guy like Jack and allow him to get back to playing his game a little bit more, without some stress on him, I think that could be valuable in the long run. Again, obviously, you don't want to see anyone getting hurt, but if we're looking for silver linings, because we're all about glass half full here at the Fix Podcast, right? So there you go.
We are 100%, man.
Glass half full, 100%. Rum, beer, whatever.
Oh, man. Imagine getting hurt, though, during a hockey game. And I don't know why, but I just keep picturing Jordan Harris being, like, out cold in the back room. And when he wakes up, he's just seeing Jeff Gordon's face right in his face. I don't know why it's funny, but it is.
Big old jowls on him as it comes into focus. That mug on Jeff Gordon or something else. Those videos, like, you're in your YouTube videos when you kind of flash to Gordon, he's got that look on his face with his head turned sideways. It's word of mint. It's genius.
I know.
Yeah, YouTube genius. You are a YouTube genius.
Jeff Gordon was made for the Junkietron.
He was. His face was just made for the Junkietron. And when he's shaking up that fucking BioSteel.
Nobody's safe, man. Nobody's safe.
It's great. Oh, it's never a dull moment. Every now and then I'll watch a game and I'll see something happen. I'm like, oh, Junkie's got to get that in.
Yeah, you sent me the Jake Evans
dropping his card. And Draisaitl, McDavid's dad, missing their high five. That was me too.
That was you too?
That was me too, yeah.
I was wondering who sent me that one. I know someone, and I use that all the time.
It's deadly. Yeah. I'm always thinking about you.
Oh, you are, man. You are. You're a good sport.
I try.
You're a good sport.
Like the Dr. Evil.
Dr. Evil, yeah.
That was a fixed podcast reference.
That was a fixed podcast reference. I didn't even know it.
It's because it's just ingrained in your mind, man. It just happens.
It is, yeah. And when you make these kind of references, like, you can't look at these people anymore.
You can't not see it.
No, you can't. Oh,
all right.
Crazy shit.
It's been entertaining so far. All right, I think like if we go back to where we're at in our timeline, the thing we got to talk about, I think that we haven't had a chance to talk about yet because we haven't had a podcast that's major Montreal Canadian news, is the Sean Monahan trade. And I know we're a bit late to the game, but we're going to talk about it and get your kind of feelings on it and see what we think about it.
Sean Monahan, number one, I'm happy that Kent Hughes moved him early. Kent's been getting the jump on things, man. He was like that last season too. You know what I mean? He didn't wait right until the end and to get rid of some of the guys. Like he pounced early last season and he pounced early so far this season and got rid of Monahan, which was a great idea because we all know that Monahan fits the bill of a Ritz cracker too.
Absolutely, man.
You don't want him going down due to an injury. I mean, can you imagine losing out on a first round pick just because you held on to him?
And could very well have happened, right? Like, that's not just Habs fans being a little bit or Kent being, like, overly cautious. Like, given the history, given what happened last year, you're 100% right. I think, like, there's some people out there who were, like, didn't like the return. Thought that the return wasn't enough for Sean Monahan. And I think that had the trade happened a week earlier before the Lindholm trade, and you had to say, we're going to get a first-round pick and a conditional. Now, I know the condition is crazy. They got to win the cup, but still, and a conditional third for Sean Monahan. Most people would have been like, most people didn't think you were going to get at least even a first-round pick for him. And I think everyone in the Montreal organization fan base would have been just jumping up and down with that. But then the Lindholm trade happens. And, I mean, they got a haul for Lindholm. There's no doubt about it. Like they did. They got a significant haul for Lindholm. And you look at the stats from this year and they're comparable players and everything else. So everyone, like, even my expectations went up a little bit. You know, cause I always thought they were going to get a first rounder for Sean Monahan. Had they gotten less than that, I would have been disappointed at any point. But even when that trade happened, I was still like, geez, you know, they could get more. Like, there could be an add-on to that first, other than the condition that we got. But, like, you know, there could be a prospect coming back. When I heard Winnipeg was involved, because Winnipeg was one of the teams that I was kind of looking at beforehand, I was saying, geez, there's a stable of 4 prospects there. Like, that could be real good. Yeah. Brad Lambert was there. Colby Barlow was there. There was a bunch of, like, wow, like, prospects there who could fit the bill for Montreal. So when I heard it was them, I was like, wow, this could be big. And then it was the first round pick, and you kind of got to, like, reel yourself back in and say, you know what, we got the first round pick. That's what we wanted. That was the price. That's a good return for Sean Monahan, considering we already had one for him beforehand. And the risk that you're avoiding. Because I do think if they had held on to Sean Monahan until right up to the deadline, they probably could have got more than that for him. But
oh yeah, for sure.
Risk management is huge, and you don't want to risk losing that asset for absolutely nothing when you could get a first round pick for him back. So I think moving him early was the move. And like you said, like, these moves, everything takes time. It takes, like, manpower to make these moves happen. So you move out Monahan now, and that opens you up as the deadline comes on to negotiate other moves, to negotiate a goalie trade if you want to negotiate a bigger trade, maybe moving some other assets, to look at moving David Savard and what the pieces of that might look like. You're not preoccupied with the Sean Monahan deal and what you need to get from that one. So I think it frees up Kent to make some more moves and wheel and deal a bit. So I like it all around, and I'm very pleased with the return.
Here's a question for you.
Shoot.
2 of the injuries yesterday, Jordan Harris and Caden Gooley. Does this change what's going on right now with David Savard? Because everybody's waiting for this David Savard trade to go down. I mean, there's rumors about it. Maybe that's not even the plan. But
yeah,
if one of these guys are out long term right now, does that play a factor in what happens with David Savard between now and the trade deadline?
To me, it doesn't. To me, I think that, if you're looking at this team long term, and that's what Kent Hughes, just by trading Sean Monahan at this time, shows that he is doing. You can't let a short term injury influence your long term decision making. I think if he's going to move David Savard, and there's not 100% that he wants to move David Savard, but I think he has a price set in his mind, and I think that David Savard is one of those defensemen that gives you. I mean, we got a first rounder for Joel Edmondson, and there's not a big difference in the way those two guys, the way Edmondson was playing the season that he got dealt to the way that Savard is playing right now, to what he brings to the game and how much teams value that going into the playoffs. So I think, if someone comes around and offers you a package for David Savard, I think that the price you were asking before these injuries is the same as the price you're asking now. And if someone meets it, I don't think he'll hesitate to make that move based on the injuries. Just because, it's all about next year. It's all about the year after that. And if he's got in his mind that he's going to make that move, I don't think he'll hesitate. I don't think the short-term injury is going to change his plan long-term. What do you think?
Believe it or not, I think the Canadiens should trade Mike Matheson instead.
Oh.
Oh, left field, man. You like that, don't you?
I do. I always like a bit of controversy.
No, man. And the reason why, left defenseman right now, there's a lot of left defensemen coming in. On the right side, it seems a little still, uncertain for me right now. You know what I mean? I feel like there's more of a cluster on the left side than the right side. I also feel like Mike Matheson's value right now is probably at its highest. I do. And Lane Hudson is probably going to sign at the end of the season. I'm not saying he's going to be an NHL player right away or an impact player, but I mean, who knows, man? Maybe next season, Lane Hudson is playing on the top power play unit in Montreal. We don't know yet. We don't know what we got. And there's already a cluster as it is right now. I don't know, man. As much as I like Mike Matheson, he's a veteran. He's one of the only veterans on the team, along with Savard. I mean, you trade any of these guys and you're losing one of them. Mm-hmm. But I just feel like it makes more sense right now to trade Mike Matheson than what it does to trade David Savard. Of course, depending on what's on the table. But that's the guy that I would move.
Yeah, and I like Mike Matheson. We both like Mike Matheson. There's no question in that. I would say this to you is that I think, like Josh Anderson in years before this, is that, I can see a David Savard move happening at the deadline. I don't see a Mike Matheson move happening at the deadline. I think his contract runs for a few more years. It's a bit heftier. I think that's a draft day deal.
That's fair.
Now, yeah. So for me, if it's going to happen between now and the deadline, if one of those guys is going to move, not that I'm opposed to Matheson, because I think you would get a haul for him, but I can't see that happening between now and the draft. Now and trade deadline. I could be wrong. I've been wrong. Remember that one time before I was wrong. I think if deadline comes and goes and David Savard is still on our roster, I think anything could happen at the draft. And to me, if I'm picturing a package to a contending team, or a team that's kind of trying, kind of on the cusp, I'm picturing New York comes to mind. Who else comes to mind? New York, New Jersey Devils, Detroit Red Wings. Those teams that are kind of like Buffalo Sabres, who are supposed to be making the turn, and a guy like Matheson can make a difference for them. Picture a package of Mike Matheson plus one of our maybe Winnipeg's first round pick, and maybe a prospect. That's a package that you can move out that's significant to a team that's contending now, who's got some assets that you might want back. I mean, you take those assets and then a legitimate scoring prospect coming back is not out of the question. You got to give up something big, something significant to get something significant back. And Mike Matheson having a career year packaged with, and some term on his contract, packaged with a prospect and a pick. And that's a significant package that you move out, and you can actually legitimately say, in your little trade proposals, that a legit scoring offensive forward coming back is not out of the question. So I think I have no opposition at all to moving Mike Matheson. I just think that if it happens in the offseason.
It would be perfect though. Like
it really would
when you think about it, because there's such a big cluster already. And I mean, Lane Hudson isn't even into the mix. People are high as a kite on Adam Engstrom, man.
Absolutely.
We don't even know what we got in that guy. And I mean, not only that, but like if Jordan Harris, if he is listening, and I'm sure he is, like this is the first time he smiled throughout the entire podcast.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like the voice grips on his nutsack just loosen like at least half a turn. At least
minimum. But you're absolutely right. And then if that would happen, I wouldn't be surprised to see David Savard extended as opposed to traded, to give you a little bit of stability. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of young guys. David Savard adds that very defensive, stay at home, very kind of neutral defensive presence. Plus, he's a right-handed guy, right-sided guy, which makes a difference. So, I think if you do move Matheson, David Savard extension to me wouldn't surprise me in the least.
I'd also keep Honda Civic around too.
Yeah, and I think there's no reason not to keep Civic around.
I like Honda Civic, and you know what? His value might be pretty high too, man.
Yeah, I mean, he's been playing some good hockey. He plays...
He has. He kind of reminds me of... I think if you moved Honda Civic at the deadline, it would kind of remind me of the Brett Kulak move in a way. You know what I mean?
Exactly who I... If you didn't say Kulak, I was going to say, or like Brett Kulak. Because, same guys, a little less respect, down in the lineup maybe a little bit more. Don't get talked about as a lot. But, Kovacevic, man, he's been playing solid minutes since he came over. Since we got him. Man,
he beat the wheels off of Jake Neighbors yesterday, dude. Holy shit.
Gotta love that. He's a big boy. He plays big minutes, relatively speaking.
He was mad.
If he can play in a team, same as when we moved Kulak, if he can play in a team's bottom pairing, then there's value for that. And you might say, oh, geez, you're not going to trade much for, a bottom two defenseman. But, someone's got to play minutes, man. If you can get a guy who can play, on your bottom pairing, but play reliable, productive minutes in your bottom pairing, that's massive value.
Yeah, for sure. And I like the Jack Eye and Honda Civic pairing whenever they're paired up.
Yeah. Both can skate, both big, both kind of, obviously Jack Eye got more of an edge, but I don't mind that at all. It's intimidating coming back, and it's intimidating going to the front net when those guys are there.
It is, for sure.
But they can awesome, still move. Man. That's what's unique about those guys. They're big, they're strong guys, but they're mobile guys. They can skate, they can make a first pass. So I think, and they're both young. I mean, Civics is young too, right?
Speaking of Jack Eye, now I wanted to talk about the prospects a little bit. Florian Jack Eye, I don't know if you've seen how he's been red hot, man. Red hot over the last couple of weeks. He's up to 42 points in 48 games now, which is quite a jump over last season. He only had 20-something points last season in way more games. He's almost a point per game right now. He picked up 2 goals and an assist yesterday. It was the first start of the game. And he's just on a run. And it's encouraging to see because he's 6'4", man. He's 6'4", and he's only 19 years old.
That's nuts, eh?
Yeah, he's a big boy. That's 6'4" is crazy. He's probably not even done growing yet. Jeez, he might be 7'4" next year.
Just imagine if he has the type of progression that Arber showed at the same age. I mean, at that point in Arber's career, he hadn't even been drafted. Not into the NHL. He hadn't been drafted into the CHL, for goodness sake. You know what I mean? He was playing, but he was undrafted signing. So, if he is to kind of pick it up based on where he is right now, that kind of skill set in a forward that big, because everyone, when they picked him, second round?
Third, I think.
Third. It was earlier than what most people had him pegged to go, anyways.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly, but I remember thinking, we knew who he was because of Arber Jack Eye, but that most people had him pegged going later, and it was a little bit of a surprise they would use the pick to take him. But if he turns out to be even a middle six forward, or not middle six, sorry, but middle pairing forward who can bring that element to his game, that could be awesome.
Oh man, it'd be wicked. And Logan Mailloux, we talked about him a bit. He's been on a rampage right now as well. I got some stuff here. He's third in points amongst all defensemen in the American Hockey League, and he's third in goals as well as a rookie.
That's crazy, eh?
It is. It's nuts. He's got just as many points as Shane Wright right now. I don't know why that, but that's hilarious. I know it's hilarious though. I just had to throw that jab.
I love that.
in
Yeah,
there.
well done. He's got as many points as Jesperi Kotkaniemi's got over his last 20 games.
Oh yeah, man, it's unreal. And did you hear about David Reinbacher?
No,
Scored a hat trick yesterday.
no way.
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh.
Sorry, man.
Why? Why would you do that? You got me good though.
Oh,
Yeah, you got me good.
yeah, just like those toys when you're winding up the back of them.
He has been playing better though lately.
Yeah, he's been doing pretty good.
And the general consensus seems to be, like we talked about, was that our last episode? We talked about him coming over when his season was done. That seems to be kind of the mainstream view on him now, is that he'll come when their season is done.
I can't wait for him to get over here, man.
Me either. I would like that I pointed that 8 weeks before anyone else brought it up, by the way.
You did, yeah.
You know.
Even Grant McKaig is referring to you now sometimes.
If he was smart, he would.
But he's not. No, I'm not going to say it. He's a good man.
You're going to get blocked again if you fuck around.
No. Oh. Oh, man. Carrying on with the prospects. Did you see Ryan Whitney called Jacob Fowler the next Dominic Hasek?
I did see that, yeah. That's a glorious
So
thing.
random, man.
That's crazy.
So random coming from him.
That is. I mean, he knows his hockey most of the time when he's not being a homer for the Oilers.
Yep.
But man, like,
Nice to
you remember
see.
when we drafted, we drafted Reinbacher and we drafted Fowler. That was our first 2 picks, wasn't it? And you remember what I said to you when it was all said and done? I said, obviously we're not going to get the best 4 out of this group, but we could walk away with the best defenseman and the best goaltender from this draft class, and you'd have to look at that as a win. And, Reinbacher hasn't turned the heads yet, but Fowler is, and I still think that he could end up being the best goalie to come out of that draft, and maybe our goalie of the future. So it softens the blow, if Reinbacher, it's a huge if, doesn't pan out into what we want him to be.
You see Fowler's head lettuce?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Oh, man, he looked just like Jonah Hill from Superman. Like, blew my mind when I seen it. Like, it's just flowing.
He seems like he's going to be a good kid to have in the organization, too. Like, I think you'll get your sound bites from him. He'll be entertaining. He'll have, because goalies are weird, So if you got a goalie who's weird in a good way, then that's good.
Yeah, man. He's got a lot of confidence, too, which is obviously he's going to need, right?
Oh, you got to, man. You got to. Like I said, you show me a normal goaltender, and I'll show you a guy who, didn't make it.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Slafkovsky, too, man, was built for the Montreal market. Like,
absolutely.
I'm so happy that they picked him now. Like, at first there was some doubts, but I was always happy with the 2022 draft. I've been saying it from day one. But man, like, the progression that he showed this season is unbelievable, man. Unbelievable.
It is fantastic. And like, he's finally getting rewarded for his opportunities, for his work, for everything else that he was doing, because there was times there, even when he had no points, we talked about it and said, what, he's looking so much better. Everything in his game looks so much better. But he wasn't getting that stat line that you wanted to see, and now it's starting to come for him, man. And you know what? It's not a coincidence, because he seems to be a workhorse. Like, works hard on the ice, works hard off the ice. He's committed to his trade, man, and that's great to see from a young guy who was the first overall pick, that he's not taking anything for granted. So that's good for the culture of the whole team.
Did you see him working on his shot?
Absolutely.
Like at practice and stuff? Like, that's good, man.
Yeah, and you can see it in the game. Like, you see that shot he scored there the other night, like from the goal line, right up underneath the bar. I mean, to me, that's not even a shot that he tries to take 3 months ago.
No, man, and that was unreal, wasn't it? Like,
it was
I was not expecting him to score from there, but
we talked about him last week,
a lot.
And we said, like, we've yet to see him score a nice goal, and he scored like 2 beauties since then.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? He's got this swagger to him, and to me, like, he's big, and when he gets that swagger going, like, he's going to be hard to stop. And it's a short sample size, or a small sample size right now, obviously. But man, if this is the way he's going to play, if this is the way he's going to produce through his career, it's only going to get better from now. He's 19 years old, so like, if this is the rule and not the exception to it, man, over the next 15 years of his career, we're going to have a beauty on our hands. An absolute beauty.
we don't even know what his ceiling is yet. Like, it's hard to tell, right? And he's getting better out of time. Only 19 years old. And I like his competitiveness too. I don't know if you noticed yesterday during the game, but he was pissed off. The Canadiens were losing 7-2. I seen a guy hit, I don't know if it was Lundqvist, or Sundqvist, whatever his name is. One of these guys hit Cole Caulfield, and he went back at him afterwards, and he just looked so pissed off at the end of the game. And that made me happy. That's what I want to see, man. As
Absolutely.
a fan watching that, you're getting riled up sitting on the couch, and sometimes when you're watching the guys on the TV and they're just floating along like they don't even care, it's nice to see a guy actually step up and look angry about it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. A lot of intensity, a lot of passion. And I mean, the chemistry on that top line right now is just sort of roof. Like, Suzuki looks fantastic. Like, this is the best hockey I've seen Nick Suzuki play in a long time.
He's crazy, man.
Caulfield his point streak ended yesterday, but like, and not just the trigger man. Like, he's setting guys up. That pass to Suzuki, man, the other night over a body, that saucer pass it was filthy. Absolutely filthy.
That was nice.
And the finish by Nick Suzuki, the puck didn't even hit the ice.
Yeah, man, that was wicked.
It was like an explosion of skill, man, to see on a Montreal Canadiens roster that, 5 years ago, just never would have seen. That the skill, that elite skill just wasn't there. We still don't have enough of it, but when you see it in flashes like that, and you add Slafkovsky's size and his determination and his underlying skill as well, it's promising, man, for the future, and lots of assets to move and to bring into the fold yet. So, we're moving in the right direction, man. It's that chemistry on that top line. And I think we need to talk about, and I'll let you to take it from the beginning because I've been talking too much here, but the power play. What are your thoughts on the power play?
Oh, man, they're clicking now. And it's nice, too, because it feels like they're utilizing Slafkovsky a little more. I don't know if somebody told him, like, you got to use 5 of the players on you for it to work. Otherwise, it's just a 4-on-4. Yeah, like, you know what I mean? There's a guy there, man. Pass it to him.
There was a point where you could have just, like, took a full-size stick out of Slafkovsky, stuck him on the boards, and he would have touched the puck as much as the actual Slafkovsky.
I know, man. It was brutal, but now they seem to be using him more, and it's clicking a lot more. A lot of passing, a lot more nice passes, too. And yesterday, Slafkovsky made a pass through, like, 4 guys to tee up Suzuki. It was
beautiful.
Awesome. No chance for Binnington. Like, that's the kind of shit I like to see.
Absolutely, man. And, like, the zone entries, they're still doing the drop pass. Doesn't seem like it's dropping back as far, but they're reloading together, it seems, and there's options. So when Nick Suzuki carries that puck over the blue line, he's got at least three different options on what he's going to do with the puck. Whereas before, it seems like there wasn't a plan. Like, he'd get to the blue line, but there was no plan. Now there's a plan. He's got Caulfield down a little lower. He bumps it off to the side sometimes. Sometimes he goes cross ice. Sometimes he dumps it into the opposite corner. But there's a plan. And once they got possession now, there's definitely a plan. There's beautiful movement. Alex Newhook, like we said already, looking good in that bumper position. He's creative. He makes space, and he's got a couple shots on the net. I think if he continues to do that, his numbers will start to come along as well. So, yeah, I mean, we gave the coaching staff and Burrows a lot of flack, and deserved flack over the last 2 seasons because it looked pretty stagnant. It looked like it was the same thing night after night, and it wasn't working. But man, it looks completely different now, and it's nice to see and good for them, and got to give credit where credit is due. So credit to Burrows, credit to St. Louis, and well done.
100%, man, 100%. You said earlier about the top line looking good and clicking good, and you mentioned we need some more of that. We need some more elite guys. I'm gonna ask you, what are the odds this offseason the Canadiens make a big trade, like for a guy like Trevor Zegras or someone of that caliber? That's he's the name that's on everybody's tongue lately because it's out available there. Like that. Yeah, he's available. He's been made available. Do you think the Canadiens are going to at least inquire about him and ask about him?
I think they will. I think at this point, Montreal has, like I said, you play GM mode in NHL 2022 all the time, or 2024, and people put out these preposterous trades. Why can't we get this guy? And then they make up a package, and it's just not enough. But Montreal right now, they do have the assets, like to use their first pick this year, and not involve that in a trade. But they still, even without that, they still have the assets to put together a package that could bring back an elite forward. Like they do, between the prospects they got, especially defensive prospects. And we talked about Jordan Harris, and we talked about guys who aren't even here yet, in Enstrom, Adam Enstrom. Obviously there's some untouchables there. Hudson I wouldn't involve, but having Hudson frees up some of these other guys who might not have the ceiling that he's got, but are still like good, solid NHL defensive prospects. You include a guy like Mike Masson in that package. You include, no doubt Calgary's pick. I wouldn't be opposed to moving that if it meant bringing back an elite, talented piece. And you're going to have to give up something to get it. So I think this season that they will, this offseason, they will make a move. They will pull the trigger. I think they will draft another talented player, but they also, I think, will pull the trigger and they will bring in some offensive talent, whether it be through free agency, because I don't have the names in front of me, but I think there's a couple of names on free agency too this offseason, or will it be kind of, a package for a young, up-and-coming, elite offensive guy? So we'll see what happens.
It's only a matter of time before, Kent pounces on one of these guys.
I think you don't want to force it.
No.
And you look at Ottawa, like Ottawa's a bit of a cautionary tale, right? Like Ottawa was kind of like our rebuild is over. They bring in Tarasenko. They made a couple of big roster moves, bring in some other guys, and it's not clicking, So you're moving out assets to make those things happen. So, it's one of those things where you got to know, and the pieces you bring in, you have to make sure they're the right pieces. And I know a lot of people are iffy on Zegras. But like if you get Slafkovsky and say you draft Lindstrom this year, I know we're reaching there, but just say like that's a lot of big, strong bodies. You can bring in a super talented, creatively offensive, gifted guy, and not worry if his work ethic is maybe a little tiny bit off, and that's only rumored to be, So I think like depends on how your roster's built.
Yeah, no, for sure. You were talking about Ottawa there, Beck. Do you want to touch on that? Morgan Rielly and what's his face? What's his name?
Riley Gregg, is it? I don't know.
Ridley Gregg.
Yeah, there you go.
Gregg, yeah. Ridley Diddley. Do you want to talk about these guys?
I mean, that was like until the Super Bowl hit yesterday. That was all over Twitter.
Oh, it was crazy, man.
It was crazy. I mean, you can go first if you want. I know you made some good points on your YouTube channel. I'll let you take it and then I'll fill it in.
First up, it was funny. It was funny. Second, he put a lot of fuel on the fire for the Battle of Ontario, which needed to happen anyway. I mean, it's good for the game, man. Believe it or not, what happened during that game, during the end of that game, was great. That was awesome. It was good for the game. So far.
Unless you're Greg.
So far, Greg is doing a good job, right? Now, Morgan Rielly, in my opinion, this is where you lose a lot of people, right? I can understand, your competitive nature. Like, yeah, you're going to be pissed off seeing it. You're going to want to do something. So he goes up to him, and instead, this is where I got a problem. Instead of grabbing him, because like Ridley Gregg is a guy too. He's a feisty little guy. He would have turned around and probably dropped gloves and went with a guy like Morgan Rielly. We're not talking about Ryan Reeves here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, man. Like instead of grabbing him and having an altercation that way, he just straight up cross-checks him in the face, man, and puts him down on the ice. And that's where you go from, having a problem with it and addressing it, and team toughness just went out the window because he looked like a pussy the minute that he did that. 100%. And not only that, then you got Austin Matthews, and he did not look at everyone was in a big pile up, and Matthews is over in the corner looking like he don't want his gloves to come off just in case somebody sees his nail polish or something. You know what I mean? Like that's the vibe I got from it. Like they didn't look tough. Like
no,
Leafs fans are saying they look tough. Yeah, man, they look like a bunch of idiots.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I'm with you 100%. Like what Buddy did, I mean, yeah, it was stupid. There's no need of that. You're rubbing salt in the wounds. But I mean, he's an agitator. That's what he does. And, I'm sure when he does that, you expect a response. Why wouldn't you? That's why you did it. But you don't expect to get cross-checked in the back of the head. To me, and there's lots of people like, oh, he should have got worse than that. Like, no, he should have got tuned up. Someone on that team should have had a set and went over and challenged the guy to a fight if that's what they needed to do. And
No.
Who cross-checks someone in the back of the head and then says, "Oh, that's a good hockey play. That's the code of hockey." That's not the code of hockey, man. And then if you say that, "Oh, you must not have played. You must be soft." All these NHL players think it's a good idea. Like, no, man. If you really had a problem, if Riley really's got a problem with Greg, he goes over, he drops his gloves, he grabs him, and he shows him what he shouldn't, that he shouldn't have done that. Teach him a lesson, but do it the right way. Don't cross-check someone in the back of the head, man. That's just greasy. And I don't know how anyone can defend that. And I mean, I don't have any problem with him. I don't have any problem with a response. Going over there. The whole team could have jumped on him for all I care, and I wouldn't have happy with that. 3 of them could have jumped him. I'd been like, yes, man, give it to him. But cross-check someone in the back of the head. To me, if you're defending that play, it's just a homer move. To me,
it is, yeah.
I was surprised that so many players, like, I think the sentiment was on some people's like, why would you go after him at all? And don't get me wrong, I agree. Go after him. Doesn't bother me in the least. But go after him properly. If you're going to be tough, be tough. Nothing tough about cross-checking someone in the back of the head. You're exactly right.
No, man. No, that's where they threw it all out the window. Like, they look stupid.
Yeah, which is great because they are stupid.
Yeah. and the very next shift, too, Sheldon Keefe sent out Ryan Reeves. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Did you see what happened after that for like the last 5 seconds?
No, what happened?
Keefe just sent out Ryan Reeves.
I saw that part. Nothing
It just
happened.
looks stupid. Like, no, nothing happened. He was just yapping. Like, he didn't do anything. Kastelik was out there, and he was just like, man, you're an idiot. Brady Tkachuk was sitting on the bench. He was actually mad because he wanted to get onto the ice. And I genuinely believe, too, that he wanted to get on the ice with his teammates just in case shit went down. Like, I don't know, man. Brady Tkachuk, like, everybody says he's... I don't know. He takes a lot of flack from Habs fans, but... You know what? And it might sound crazy, but I honestly feel like Brady Tkachuk would have probably dropped the mitts with Reeves. Yeah, he might have got his head caved in or whatever, but when it comes to being a captain, he would have defended his teammates 100%.
Yeah, I don't think he would have backed down either. Might not be the best decision he can make, but I mean, he's a tough customer.
He is. He's not a wuss, man. He's not Morgan Riley.
He is not Morgan. He's not cross-checking Ryan Reeves in the back of the head and running away.
No,
I agree 100%. Now, I mean, I just thought that was a greasy move too. Like, all right, so Greg makes a stupid play. Fair enough. Riley goes after him, cross-checks him. The Leafs jumped the Ottawa players. And then the Leafs put out the tough guy in the next shift?
Yeah, I know. It's weird, ain't it?
I don't know. Anyway, it's just good on the Leafs to lose. They're only in the playoff spot by, 6 points? This is supposed to be the next dynasty team. Nothing make me happier than see them slide out of the playoff spot.
Oh, that would make my season complete. I'd be happy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not an Ottawa Senator fan, but if they could get up out of the way so we could get a little higher pick, that'd be great too. So Ottawa winning hockey games right now, that's golden. So for me, this was the best outcome. Regulation loss, but the Leafs. Ottawa wins. The Leafs and Ottawa Senators both look like goons, and their fan bases are just imploding on each other. So it's great all around.
The only shitty thing about it is they don't play anymore for the remainder of the season.
That is too bad.
It is though, ain't it? Because that would have been awesome, right? Yeah. Like to see a sequel.
I can appreciate Riley Gregg because I was always a shit disturber playing hockey. You know what I mean? Like, go in, give the goalie a little tap. If the whistle wasn't gone, I took more cross checks and punches in the face playing hockey and just smalled and skated away. It was great. I drew more roughing penalties than Callan's got cornflakes. I had a goalie one time crack his goalie stick over my back as I skated away up the ice.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Give him a big shot, hit him on the fingers, puck comes loose. Their team got it and skated up the ice. I got pummeled, got up, skated away, and I was about 10 feet from the net, and he two-hands me across the back.
Holy shit.
It's great. He got suspended for a long time for that, but...
Sounds like a good time, though.
It was bad. But, so I can appreciate that, that aggravating side of the game. But, I expected to get punched in the face. I didn't expect someone to crack their goalie stick up over my back,
Gary Gallagher.
But, I don't know. Well, the other thing I wanted to talk to you about, too, we talked a bit about the trades. We talked about some of our prospects and, how they're doing. Owen Beck, we didn't really mention. Also lighting it up in the CHL, playing really, really well, really strong hockey. What about the draft? All right, so I'm going to give you I'm going to give you a scenario here now, and I want you to tell me what you think, because it's going around out there quite a bit. And have you ever listened to the Basu and, is it Godin? Marc-Andre Godin podcast?
Yeah, I've seen it. I haven't listened to an entire episode.
I listened to an episode the other day. Anyone listening to this one who wants another podcast, buds are good. Very informed, very in the know. Not quite as funny as we are, I mean, but nobody is, so don't be disappointed. Anyways, they were talking about this. Say we pick, 7 in the draft, which I'm hoping we're going to move up beyond that. And I think it is quite possible that we will move up into the 4 or 5 range. Now, whether we stick there once the lottery happens, I don't know. But there's a chance that we move up at least till that slot. But if we do end up picking 7, and the big guns go, because there are some defense who maybe are going to move up into the top 5, but there is a good chance that, obviously Selbrein's going to be gone, that Lindstrom is gone, that Demidov is gone, that Yzerman is gone by the time you get to 7. Like, there's a chance that all these, elite guys who would be the best player available in that slot at 7, plus would address our need, are gone. And that the next best player available is a very talented defenseman.
Don't say it.
That slides to 7. And I mean, that is possible. And with our luck in drafts lately, that could happen. So all the big guns are off the board. The guys who, like we said, who you can legit argue are the best player available there anyway. So Yzerman, Demidov, Lindstrom, well, obviously Selbrein's not going to slide, but the guys, the group of people I'm talking about. And one of these stud defensemen who's supposed to go in the top 3 ends up falling down to 7. What's your play?
Oh, man. That would be a worst case scenario.
It is. It is the worst case scenario.
That would be horrible, especially if Berkeley Catton is somehow gone too. If the guy's name is Anton Silyev, that 7-foot Sasquatch out of Russia, I'd actually draft him.
Yeah.
Hot take, man. I'd take a defenseman. Yeah, 100%. If that's the best player available, that's the guy you got to take. I'd say you take a defenseman, but right after, before the draft's even over, I'd be dangling popcorn Reinbacher around like he's a fresh piece of meat, trying to get rid of him for some kind of offense. Because you still got to address, the forward situation. Even if you kept Reinbacher and maybe you moved, I don't know, you're probably going to have to move a big name young defenseman in Caden Gooley, someone. I know it's going to suck, but somehow, some way, the Canadiens got to address their offense problem up front in the top 6. They need more stars. If you think that the Canadiens are great up front, now I know you don't. I'm just talking to the viewers, but if you feel like the Canadiens are in a good situation right now up front with Kirby Dach coming back and everyone else, don't kid yourselves. They need a star. They do. Some way, somehow, they need a star. They need someone better than what they even have.
Yeah, you need at least
a driver, someone in the driver's seat. I don't care what he does on his own end. Somebody that can put up between 80 and 100 points every season. That'd be sick.
That would be sick. All right, so if that happens, get to 7. The big defenseman is the best player available, and like you said, he's significantly better than, say, even if Catton's there. If that big defenseman is there, the defenseman's still the best player available.
He's a monster.
What do you think about trading that pick?
I'd be open to that too.
Package that up with a young defenseman and trade for a legit offensive point per game guy under the age of 24. I don't have any names in mind, but is that something you'd be like, yes, that's the package, that's what we need, that's what we would have drafted there. If we can get it, we go get it.
I'd be open to that as well. I wouldn't complain, but
it's got to be a home run. At the same
time, it would have to be a home run, and I'd still be somewhat disappointed in the last couple of drafts when I look back at it, because, I'd be saying, well, maybe they should have took Michkov or Ryan Leonard in 2023 and got their defenseman in 2024.
And not have to give up any more assets to do it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It would be kind of like a step sideways in a sense.
Well, I think it's a step forward, but you're burning a lot more assets to get there.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, and that's my mind too. To me, that is the worst case scenario. I mean, I said we were glass half full here, but I'm just pissing all over everyone's parade. But the other more possible scenario is that because it's so high on defensemen, that one of these forwards that would normally go in the top 5 ends up sliding. That is the more likely scenario, really, realistically speaking here, is that in 7 you get a guy that would have been or should have been a top 5 forward pick who ends up sliding because there are some elite defensemen who are crowding up the top 5. And I'm hoping that's what happens. Like, I'm hoping it's a guy like Lindstrom or like Demidov who, you know, maybe people got a little bit question marks about. You see these really kind of, you know, elite defensemen, and a lot of people, a lot of teams in Montreal's situation aren't as stacked on the back end as Montreal is, where it's, you know, that defense is still identifiable organizational need for most teams who are picking in that slot, and they decide they're going to take defensemen, and then we get left with, you know, a forward who ticks our box, hopefully, who is elite, who is creative, who can score goals and put up big points, and we get them maybe where we shouldn't have. And that's what I'm hoping will happen. I'm just putting it out there.
That would be awesome. Now we're back to best case scenario.
Now we're back glass half full. Here we go.
What a great way to end the podcast.
Well, we can't end it yet. Last week, our last episode, we forgot to do a beer bet of the week.
Oh my God, we did.
First time in 2 years. We were just so caught up in our conversation that we forgot to do a beer bet of the week, that's heartbreaking. I mean,
it is. Yeah,
we should be ashamed of ourselves. We let our fans down.
We're gonna have to do a dozen this time.
Oh, is that what we're doing? Let our fans down, and by fans I mean Al. Sorry, Al.
Yeah,
we let you down, bud.
Shout out to Al, man.
I always shout out to Al. I love that guy.
Oh yeah.
So now our next game is when? The 13th? No. Yeah, tomorrow against Anaheim. Yeah. Is that right?
Yeah.
I'm going to bet you, that we beat Anaheim by 1.5 goals. So we'll put the over-under on. We're going to beat them by more than 2.
Okay, deal.
All right.
Deal. I can't believe you're doing this.
And
who's in net, though?
And
that
Juraj Slafkovsky is going to score a goal. So we're going to beat them by we're going to beat them by 2 at least. And Slafkovsky's going to score. And I'm going to put a dozen beer on it.
Oh my God. You're in the giving mood, man. This is the Mother Teresa of bits. Like, I'm getting a dozen beers. That's simple. Like,
no way.
100%.
Well, you should do. All right, you should give me odds then. We'll do a dozen to a 2 for.
I should have shut up when I
Do we have a deal?
We got a deal. Let's do it. 2 to 1 odds.
2 to 1 odds. Boom.
I just
lost a dozen beer, but maybe not.
Maybe not. Maybe you gained a couple.
Maybe. We'll drink the 2 for
All right. All right.
All right, buddy. Take it easy.